Many may not argue that the tax reform out there is needed. Nebraska Farm Bureau, they've come up with a plan, and it really eases the burden of property taxes. Here's more.
We've heard in the news, the governor even has said that the tax system here in Nebraska needs a facelift. It's an old system, it needs work done, and Steve Nelson's here, and the Farm Bureau has put together something here to provide property tax relief. And you know, when the governor proposed his tax idea a while back, it was knocked down because it ended up being something that farmers would have to pay a lot more money in, not just on their property tax. So that was struck down. But now we're moving forward, and you guys have kind of come up with a plan here, or a proposal, right?
That's right, Marilyn. Last year, if we back up to last year, about this time, the governor began talking about doing some pretty significant tax reform in the state. And based on the principle of having more equity in our tax system and being able to attract jobs and making the economy better in Nebraska. All of us are for that. And the issue for us, or from the Farm and Ranch perspective and from the Farm Bureau perspective, was that within the plan that the governor talked about, he didn't talk about property tax or reforming the property tax system. We've said for a long, long time that property tax is really where we need to make the reform, to have the reform. And we talk a lot about the three-legged stool, a balance between income tax, sales tax, and property tax, and that in an ideal situation that there would be about an equal amount of money come from each of those three areas.
Because right now the property tax is really heavy on that end of that three-legged stool right now. That's
exactly right. In 2012, the property tax was about 44% of that total. The sales tax is less than the third, and the income tax is actually fairly close to the third. So what we looked at is how can we bring this into balance, and certainly reform is difficult no matter what you do. And so what we're talking about in our plan is to move from that 44% on property tax down to about 40%. So it's not all the way to the third, but when we get into the numbers here in a minute, I think everyone will see how difficult this really is, because it starts to be a lot of money that we talk about.
Because in what you mentioned, that's just 5% difference, but that's a lot of money.
That's right. What we call for in our plan is to come up with about $405 million of property tax relief over a 3-year period, and then stay at that level. So all of the changes that we would make would move us into about a little over $400,000 change in that system. So some pretty big changes as we do that, and we talk about doing that over a 3-year period because we understand that it's difficult to do that all in 1 year, and so that's why we've laid this out, and so we're really excited in a way to have the opportunity to talk about a plan that we know that will work and that will have some significant tax reform.
Find out what is exactly in that proposal each of those 3 years. That's starting next week. We'll have the interviews right here on NTV's Grow. Up next, your Grow Forecast. Stay with us.